Hello and welcome to today's webinar, the Demand Gen Event Playbook, Fewer Events, Better Pipeline, produced by Marketing Profs and sponsored by Vendelux. I'm Valerie Witt, and I will be your moderator for today's event. Before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping notes. First off, if you have any audio or visual problems, try to refresh the page, or if that doesn't work, log out and log back in. If you're on Wi-Fi or have multiple apps open, that could impact your experience. So when in doubt, close it out. Check out the right-hand side panel for a couple fun engagement options. You can use the chat feature to connect with fellow marketers, and you can reply and send reactions to others' comments by hovering over them. You can use the Q&A tab to submit questions for our speaker. In there, you can also upvote others' questions so that we get to your favorite question during the discussion at the end. And of course, we'll focus on the most highly voted questions first. There is a PDF of the deck available to download in the resources tab. And yes, you will get the recording once it's ready. We'll send you a notice when it's available. So finally, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see an emoji button. Feel free to share your reactions throughout the presentation using that. If you'd like to take a minute, I would like to take a minute to thank Vendelux for sponsoring today's webinar. Vendelux is an event intelligence platform that helps companies turn in-person events into measurable, scalable growth channels. Now, please join me in welcoming Jess Hopp, who is presenting the Demand Gen Event Playbook, Fewer Events, Better Pipeline. Jess is an event marketing and operations leader specializing in event strategy, attendee engagement, community building, and revenue impact. She helps organizations build scalable event programs, optimize performance, and connect events to measurable business outcomes. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Jess, to take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Val. Hi, everyone. I love these little emojis that are popping up across my screen, so keep it going. So happy to be here with Marketing Profs. Like Val mentioned, I'm Jess. I'm the events and community lead for Vendelux. And today we are talking about a phrase that might sound backwards to you until you sit with it for just a few seconds. Fewer events, better pipeline. Right? Most teams are trying to do more, show up more, have more booths, have more badge scans, and most of them are exhausted and really can't tell you which one worked, right? It's kind of like a feeling. I'm like, oh, we felt like this was a good use of our time, or oh, we might have gotten good leads off of it, or sometimes we didn't get any leads out of it. So this session, what we're talking about today, this session is not about doing more. It's really a playbook about doing less and doing more on purpose, getting intentional, and getting more pipeline out of it. So like Val mentioned, please drop any questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Chat with me through the chat. Emojis are awesome. And we'll get rolling here. I have a few live polls that will kick off, and I do have one now. So if our friends Marketing Profs, so little elves behind the scenes, can launch our first poll, that would be amazing. So here it is, our first poll. How many in-person events is your team planning to attend this year? It's a quick gut check to see how many in-person events you have, what your team is planning, what you're hoping to do this year. I know we're halfway through the year, but let me vote here. Amazing. Okay, I see everything coming in. I had to vote first. Okay, it's fun. You can see it live in action. I'll give everyone a few seconds before we get to the results here. Okay. Oh, a few more coming in. We'll give it a few seconds. All right, if we want to hit the results, would love to see that. Awesome. Okay. Amazing. So here we go. If you are in C, D, okay, A. All right, we're kicking it off with A. Love that. Super intentional. Okay, so if you are in that bucket of C or D, let's hold on to that number And if you are in the bucket of 1 to 10, the A, let's hold on to that number 2. Awesome. Thanks so much. We will flip into our next slide here. Oh, and we have another poll. Okay. So, how confident are you that your current event mix is driving pipeline? I know this is a big question. And be honest, it's anonymous. I will not see your answer. I think people get like, oh, should I say the right thing? I cannot see anyone's vote or anyone specifically voting somewhere. Um, Let me quick vote here. Amazing. Okay. I love this. Okay. Oh boy, somewhat confident is going down here. not not very confident. Okay. Honestly, no idea. I love the honesty in the D. Okay, that's amazing. We'll give everyone a few seconds to keep voting. Okay. Let's see. A lot of events. Okay, perfect. Well, if our friends behind the scenes can hit the results, that would be amazing. Okay. Somewhat confident, not very confident. Perfect. You are in the right place. We are going to get down to the bulk of our chat here. Awesome. Thanks so much. Flipping back to our presentation here. Okay. So your event calendar is full. All of you have responded, in varying ways that your event calendar is full, which is so interesting to me because everyone, runs their event program, their field marketing program in a different way. So your event calendar is full, but your pipeline isn't. So let's talk about it. So let's name why that gap exists. And it kind of comes down to these 3 things that I'm going to talk about here. So the first one is no selection criteria, right? Events get added to the calendar by inertia, by FOMO, maybe a CEO, CMO is seen. But like other competitors going to events. So you're like, okay, we want to be there, and it feels very last minute. I know I've heard this before. We went last year. It worked well. Everyone's going to be there. That's another, key phrase. And unfortunately, none of that is strategy. And it's just momentum in costume, right? So the second one is being overcommitted and under-resourced. So this one is, we don't want to admit it, we don't want to talk about it, but this is a safe space. So when you say yes to too many events that you can't fully staff, it's really hard, right? It's hard on your team, it's hard on your staff. And here's the hard truth is that the half committed execution is worse sometimes than not showing up at all. So a booth with a tired team, not like a huge strategy behind it, it feels like it's going to underperform, and we don't want that in our process either. So if y'all have felt this way, let me know in the comments. Let me know if your team has felt this way, because it is a common feeling. And the third is no measurement model. So you come home with pictures, lead scans, badge scans, and you call it, results. We had good results when we went, but badge scans aren't really the pipeline, right? So you're without that real measurement model, and it doesn't really improve as your calendar gets more full, right? So you're trying to fly the same plane and flying blind, basically. So full calendar, thin pipeline. So these are the 3 root causes that we see, but there is a fix. Okay. Promise. We're going to get into that. Okay. So chat prompt, if y'all want to take a few seconds to drop in the chat, or you can think about it, reflect on this as a deeper question with your team. I do like Slack questions sometimes in a team environment because you can get folks responses. But what is the number one reason that your team says yes to an event? And you can be honest. Like I mentioned, sometimes it's like, oh, we went last year, or oh, our competitor is going to be there, yada yada. Okay, good. Prospecting. Mentally, why not? Okay, love it. Attendees are the right targets, sales requests. Okay, great. Love it. Keep them coming. So when we think about our calendar, full calendar, thin pipeline, um, oh wait, I went through this already. Sorry about that. Um, we are going to talk through what we're going to talk through today. Um, so the first one is the event selection framework. So it's a 3 filter model that I use, teams use across our platform for deciding which events actually belong on your calendar and which ones you can cut without losing that sleep. Because we all love our sleep, right? Our rest. The second one is making the case for doing less. The framework is useless if you can't get leadership to buy in, right? So I'll give you the language that we use, the logic that we use to have that conversation without it feeling, rough. And the third is a simple measurement model. So 4 metrics, no enterprise tooling required, promise. And you can run this pretty immediately. All right. So that's what we're getting into today. Okay, event selection framework. This is the strategy part, right? So here's the rule that runs the whole framework. If an event can't pass all 3 filters, then we don't put it on the calendar. Okay, not 2 out of 3, not 1 out of 3. It's all 3. So let's walk through them. And of course, you can grab screenshots. I know that Val mentioned that this recording is going to be sent out, but I'm such a snapshot person or a camera phone person. So feel free to steal any of these slides if you want them ASAP. Okay, so the first filter is audience fit. Does your ICP actually attend? Not marketers, but actually your buyer. Are the right titles in the room? Is the right company size there? The right seniority? So the test that I usually use going into this exercise is what were the top 10 job titles by attendance last year? And what percentage of attendees were director level or above? That's what we look for, probably what you look for too. And here's the tell that if the organizer that you're working with can't answer that, then we're going to go deeper in the second one because it's a filter that can really help, save you a lot of money and a lot of time. So the second filter is the pipeline potential. So we like to pull previous year's data and follow the chain of events. So meetings to conversion, pipeline, all the things. And sometimes we run into this situation where we don't have data because it might be the first time that you're at a show. We want to know who's sponsoring, are your competitors there, and setting a minimum viable pipeline threshold before you commit. So you can really feel confident in that decision and not like, oh, we missed out on being there because of XYZ. And the third filter is the execution visibility. So can your staff be there to like see the wins through, the prep, the execution, the follow-up? All 3 of those are really important. And just like remembering that half committed is it might feel worse than not going, right? And we'll figure it out is, I know that there's a term of like, oh, it's all figure outable, but events are just, there's so much money and time and investment behind it that it's really important to have that plan and feel really confident in what you're executing before you commit and say yes. So those are our 3 filters for our framework. And let me go to my next slide here. So I have another poll. It's a poll kind of day. So which filter do you skip the most often of the 3 that we went through? Filter 1, filter 2, filter 3. Audience fit, pipeline potential, or execution feasibility. Okay, let me vote here. Pipeline potential. Okay. I really love this like live interaction to see you all vote. This is fun. Okay, pipeline potential. Execution feasibility. Okay, cool. Give everyone a few seconds to get their vote in. It's like, okay, I'm dating myself here, but it's like American Idol, and you can see the live voting. Cool. All right, marketing prof elves. If you want to hit results, amazing. Pipeline potential. Okay, I feel that. Yeah, that can be very relatable. And we're gonna go into a deeper dive on these right now. Okay, so let's talk audience fit. Okay, let's go deeper on this filter because we don't want to waste our budget. We have very, you know, strict budget guidelines, and so we don't want to waste it if our ICP is not going to be there. So here's the trap. You find an event that you want to go to, the organizer tells you, yeah, like 5,000 marketing leaders are going to be there. Sounds great, sounds very impressive, but that number really doesn't tell you much about if your buyer is going to be in the room. So if you have 5,000 of the wrong titles, that's not great, because those 5,000 cost more and they convert less because they're not really what who you want to talk to and who can convert. So before you sign anything, ask the organizer these two questions, because this is what I do before we, lock into an event that we're going to. And when you're on the call with the organizer, just ask them. Can you share the top 10 job titles by attendance from last year? And the second one is, what percentage of attendees are director level or above? I think these are really important, at least for us. These questions really get to the nitty gritty of like, is this right for us? And if the organizer cannot tell you, I think that is a clue in, because that's an answer. It's just all data points. So you just, learned what you needed to know. Awesome. Okay. And for configuring your ICP, this is what we're looking for, at least, when we go to trade shows, industry events. Defining our ICP is really important. So I just put an example together of what that might look like for you. Again, no one filter fits all, but it's really great to again, build in that strategy before you jump full into, thousands of dollars in a booth. It's really key. Okay, so as we head into our next conversation piece here, making the case for doing less. Okay, so we've got the framework. You did the hard part. You got leadership on board. You asked the tough questions, because the moment that you propose cutting events, you might hit a wall. So this is really about framing. So we don't want to say like, oh, we're cutting events. That is not what we're doing. What we want to reframe is saying that we are concentrating our resources on the events where the highest confidence of pipeline return is, so I've been in these conversations before. Sometimes leadership CEOs are very connected to events, and they want to make sure that they're going to the ones that they want to go to. Totally understandable. But also you have to balance that with, is it the right return on our investment? Is the proper pipeline going to be there? And making the business case, the executive pitch. Because the event just isn't doing what it needs to do anymore. And it's okay to have that conversation. Okay, so I have another question for you all. You can chat about it in the chat, or again, have a deeper thought around it as you head into the weekend, because I know I love to think about work on the weekend. So let's ask, what's the hardest objection you've faced when trying to rationalize your event calendar? This is a good one. And it never hurts to get your team involved in these conversations either. some things that I've heard from folks is like, oh, our biggest customers are going to be there, or our sales team really wants us to be there. So those are not measurable in the way that we want them to be measurable, and they're not data driven in the way that we need them to be data driven, to increase that event budget. So as we move into measurement models, again, it's really about these 4 metrics, okay? So the first one is cost per qualified meeting. You all know that. All in cost, divided by the number of ICP meetings that you actually set. The second is pipeline influenced. So deals that were already in your CRM before the event close faster or at a higher rate after an event touch. And that's how you can capture that relationship show or relationship value. But it's really hard to prove that in a CRM. I chatted with, I don't know, hundreds of event marketers this week, and that is something that they are really struggling with, is how can we show sourced pipeline in a CRM for an event. The third one is sourced pipeline, so net new opportunities, where the first like meaningful actual touch was the event. It's so hard to uh, qualify that, quantify that. So I've been in situations where a conversation at lunch or a conversation in the hallway was like the first touch point, and how do you put that into a CRM? So that's really hard. And the fourth is a sales cycle impact. So comparing the event touch deals versus the non-touch deals, how long do they take to close? It's more of like a CFO conversation in a way, because you want to make sure that that number protects your budget. But this is where we're sitting with like a simplified measurement model of how we're looking at events holistically right now. So the next question that I have for you all, which of those 4 metrics is your team currently tracking? And I can go back and let you all see the previous slide. So cost per qualified lead, pipeline influenced, source pipeline, sales cycle impact, pipeline sourced. Yeah. Okay. And I'm hearing from, I really do get an opportunity to go to a lot of events. I'm our event lead, so I'm in a lot of rooms where C-suite, C-level folks are talking about this, and I'm really hearing more that it's pipeline influenced. So how much money is in the room? How can we quantify that and qualify that in a CRM? Yeah, influence source. Okay. Nice. Tracking all 4. Claire. Shout out to Claire. Amazing. Awesome. So we're coming to the end of our conversation here. I know we're gonna head into Q&A pretty soon. I would really love to hear any questions that you all have. So now we're like, okay, I have all these problems, all these issues. How can Vendalux make this a little faster? You know, I I love the product, of course. But I think from like an event standpoint, the best thing that I've noticed from folks who I've talked to and event marketers that I've talked to is like the event intelligence. When you go to trade shows, go to events, usually you get access to attendees, 2 weeks, 1 week before the event. And you're trying to reach out, you're trying to book meetings, you're trying to do all of the things to get those meetings in the books. But with Vendalux, you can actually start 3 weeks, 4 weeks before, because we know who's going to be there. It's it's very we work with organizers. It's very clean data, so it's really exciting to like see all of that intelligence layer build on the meetings. So don't want to go too far into that, but just want to make it available for you all to understand a little bit more. So 3 things that you can do this week, not this quarter, but this week, is to pull your last 6 events. So I want to make this really actionable for you all, and calculate your cost per meeting for each. So you'll know by the end if that's a good, use of your time, your money, your budget. And the second is to score your next 3 committed events. So run them through that 3 filter framework that I shared. If it fails in filter 1 or 2, have that conversation now, or precede it for your 2027, which is wild to say, but your 2027 meetings. It's really important to think ahead as much as you can. And then the third is just book time with your AEs. I do this pretty frequently, just to align on, what they're hearing, what I'm hearing, what follow-ups they're doing, what good outcomes look like. So being really close to your sales teams is always important. I learned so much. So as we get into our final poll here, I'm excited to see what y'all think. What are you committing to as your next action step? I am that person. I will ask you, hey, what are you going to do next to make sure that you're like in a place of success? So again, pulling your last 6 events, and even putting it through AI, having your outcomes really in front of you is important. Scoring your next 3 events against a framework, or booking time with your top AE to just understand. Ooh, let me vote. Or all 3. I mean, overachievers, if you want to do all 3, you can totally do that. Not required. Not required. Okay, cool. I love that you all are going to use the framework. Pulling the last 6 events. Yeah, I mean, you can do so much with Claude and ChatGPT now. Like, it'll be super helpful to see where that lands. Amazing. Okay, I think we'll give everybody a couple seconds. Awesome. Okay, I think we can hit results if you haven't. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Cool. All right, so we're going to have an accountability time. and that'll be fun. Okay. So what you're walking away with are our three filter framework that we talked about, the language to take it to leadership. If an event is not working for you, how to talk through that, and then your measurement model that you can start on Monday, y'all. I did put my contact information there. If you have any questions, want to follow up, I would love to chat events. I love events. I'm very passionate about them. So I'm very, I don't know, I'm very honored to come and talk to you all about events today. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jess, for a great presentation. That was really fun.
Yeah.
So, everyone, let's get to some questions. If you have a question you haven't asked yet, now's the time to do that. Pop on over to that Q&A tab and post it there in the right-hand side panel. You can also upvote questions that other people have asked, and we'll take the most popular ones first. So, beginning with the most popular question from Christiane. You mentioned that pipeline influenced is pretty hard to track in CRMs. Do you have any
Hmm.
tips or ideas about what has worked before? Any suggestions for
Ooh,
how to do
yeah,
that?
we got 4 upvotes on that one.
Mm.
So I was at an event recently, and I was able to like hear on a panel, with C-suite folks who are like really top tech companies, banks, um, all of their VP of events or directors of events. They they had the same problem. They're like, how do we calculate, or how do we do that pipeline influenced? So they're really working with their sales team to say, okay, we have this deal, maybe it's in the pipeline, maybe it's sourced, maybe it's like very close to the finish line. And if they're going to be at the event, making sure to flag that. And then, using that model that we have, that I was talking about before, to really like put it comprehensively together for your leadership to say, okay, we're going to XYZ event. We know XYZ folks are going to be there, which means there's, a million plus that's going to be in that room, right? And that we are either close to closing the deal or they are in our pipeline. So it's a little manual right now, but that's where I'm hearing folks are going, is like, we want to know how much money is in that room. We want to know how much influence is there, and you'll only know that by like looking at your data in your CRM.
That's a great way to make it very clear and yes or no,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, yes
I
or
love
no,
that.
exactly.
Very good. So, our next question is, how do I calculate pipeline potential for a brand new event with no history?
Ooh, yes, this is a fun question as well. Um, I mean, there are, those anchor events, the Dreamforce, it's called Unbound this year. I'm gonna keep calling it Inbound. Like
Yep,
you, it's like a whole relearning for all of us.
totally.
Um, so we know going into those events what we're going to get, who's going to be there. All of the things are very clear to us, and the sign on is pretty instantaneous. But there are some events that are coming up the pipeline that are growing at a really fast rate, and you're just like, I don't know if this is really what it is, or maybe they're changing their ICP, right? So like 5 years
Mm,
ago, maybe they were focusing on one type of marketer, and now they're flipping to like, I don't know, a different ICP internally for that event. So I don't know. I do a lot of like competitor research. I do social listening on social media to see what
mm.
people are saying. Because that, not only on LinkedIn, but I'm also on Reddit pretty frequently, just to see what people are saying. It's like an unfiltered, anonymous take on some really like big topics. So I like Reddit. Um, and then also just thinking about that like minimum pipeline threshold that you would want to do before you actually commit. So treating that like year one as data gathering can really earn you like that second year budget.
Makes sense. Love it. Oh, here's a good one. What if the organizer won't share attendee data before we commit to sponsoring? So, a lot of them do
Yeah,
stonewall. Do you have any
they
tips for how to get
do.
around that?
Or they say, "Oh, we'll get back to you on that." Um, or they share just like really general high level. Um,
Mhm.
I I I'm working with an organization right now who is like, "Send me your top 20 ICP. We're gonna put it against our event list. We're gonna do it together." And I loved that so much. I was like, "Y'all are the best. You're being very transparent." Um, but not everyone does that, and I totally get that. Um, so I don't know. I'm like, if I can't get a direct answer, I'm going to just assume that my ICP is not there. you know,
Mhm.
like if
Yep.
I can't get a clear yes, then it's probably a no. But again, you can go back to like the social listening online. I talk to a lot of my colleagues as well. So I mean, people talk within industries, and I think that's really important to like talk to other counterparts in other companies and hear what they're saying as well. Um, so yeah, those are like my top areas, and then Vendelux is a great solution for that too. But yeah, I think like being able to talk to other people is key, and just hearing what's happening in the industry.
Makes sense. Oh, I love this question. So, leadership sees cutting events as losing ground. And you talked about that a little
Ooh,
bit in your
yes,
presentation.
yes,
So,
yeah.
how do I get buy in with leadership without sounding like a retreat?
hmm Um, this one, I mean, it's very company by company, but what I've seen work well is having the market, usually I sit in a marketing team capacity. I know some of my counterparts sit in like the sales side, or maybe sales and marketing are together. but getting buy-in from my leadership side on marketing, having conversations with the sales lead as well, and just getting on the same page. I think where you find a lot of tension is like if sales and marketing don't agree,
Mm,
um, or customer service, that the side of things doesn't agree. That's hard. That's really hard. So you have to really prove it through
mm.
data that we should be there or we shouldn't be there, without like offending anybody, because that's where people kind of get very emotional about events, and it's a very like relationship based thing. So yeah, my key advice is like making sure everyone like aligns on a direction. And it might not align in the way that you want it to this first year, but then, you'll have data to back up why you shouldn't be there, um, if you do have to go, because we all know how that goes sometimes.
Love it. That's great. And I love that we got through all of our questions. So
Amazing.
we are complete. That's wonderful. Thank you again, Jess, for a terrific
So
presentation. And thank you to Vendalux for sponsoring today's session.
thank you so
Everyone,
much.
yeah, everyone, we do truly value your feedback. So please do click on that link that's popping up on your screen to share your feedback. It's also posted in the chat, and you can fill out just a very quick survey there. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. We can't wait to see you at the next Marketing Profs event.